to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Power Talk Friday on A Well-Designed Business. I'm happy to introduce you to Cody today. Hi Craig, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me here today.
Yes, Craig. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of background on you. Cody is a certified tax coach. He is a certified public accountant. He's a business owner, and he's a former New York City police officer with 17 years on the force. That's pretty impressive right there. Forget being a tax guy, right? In addition to being a certified public accountant for the last 15 years, he's also a certified tax coach. You're starting to talk my language there, okay? As a certified tax coach, Craig belongs to a select group of tax practitioners throughout the country who undergo extensive training and continuing education on various tax planning techniques and strategies to become as well as to remain certified, okay? With this organization, Craig has co-authored an Amazon bestseller called Secrets of a Tax-Free Life. So, Craig, a couple of things in there, and I said you're talking my language because there is something more approachable about a tax coach than a CPA. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. Somehow it feels like a coach, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. An accountant, I feel like I got to sit up straight and pretend to talk the talk. So you're both, though. So you have a unique vantage point of being the certified professional who can execute this, but it sounds like that you have a passion or an inclination to help and teach people to go on their tax journey with their business, as opposed to just, feed it to them at the end of the year and say, sign here. Am I on the right track with this?
Correct. Definitely. Okay. We are definitely into being proactive versus just recording history.
Right? It's funny because, I wrote a book recently. It came out in February. And one of the chapters I have in my book is to gather your dream team. And then within the dream team, I say that you have your non-negotiable dream team members and your negotiable ones. And, the non-negotiable one in my mind is the CPA, is the accountant who's going to do the legal filings for your company. But I list as one of the negotiable ones, but strongly suggested, is a tax coach. And I make the analogy, and so I'm running it by you because this is my personal opinion, doesn't mean it's exactly gospel, but I make the analogy that it's sort of like your health trainer, your fitness trainer, and your GP. So your fitness trainer is going to meet with you as often and as regular as you need and say, hey, do 5 more sit-ups and do 6 more planks and, eat 3 less Twix bars this week, Luann, right? And then the GP at the end of the year is going to analyze where you are, where you're going, and look and say, don't do this for next year or do that. And I feel like the tax coach is the person along the year that you can check in and ask all those questions and sort of get your business education on the financial side of your business up so that you can have intelligent conversations about the financials of your business. And would you agree? Am I on the right track with that?
Definitely on the right track. It's all about communication.
Good. I'm glad because I put it in my book, so it better be true. Okay. So tell me about that. So here's the thing. As creatives, we're talking to my homies here, our interior designers and aspiring designers. And as creatives, it's not our wheelhouse of finances, and it's intimidating and it's difficult. And so let's for a moment forget the mature the business owner for a moment, and let's talk for a moment, Craig, to somebody that is maybe recently launched their business in the last year or two or about to, and they don't have somebody other than the guy at the desk that they see once a year or they intend to see once a year. Tell us, what should we look for? What questions should we ask when we're looking for someone who's going to go down the road together with us, as opposed to just looking for us at the finish line on, April 15th?
Well, I think one of the questions is how accessible are you?
Right.
How often are we going to communicate? Are you going to communicate with me, or am I just going to see you in March or April? And you obviously do not want somebody that's just going to see you in March or April.
Right.
And you should have, if you're doing it right, you should have actually already had that conversation before you started your business.
Right.
So did you create the right entity? Typically what happens is the, business owner has a conversation with their attorney, and their attorney says, okay, you should form an LLC, or you should form a corporation or a sole proprietorship, whatever it is, but there's no interaction with the accountant there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, if you just have a little bit of communication, you could actually find, okay, what's the best entity for legal purposes and what's the best entity for tax purposes, and get the best of both worlds. I kind of call it having your cake and eat it.
Okay.
So it starts right there.
Right.
And that alone can significantly affect the amount of taxes that you pay.
Well, I 100% agree. Like I said, I think it's the second chapter of my book. It's like, let's get started. This is how you start. Square one, get these things locked down. So when we say, look, how are we going to find an accountant? We're going to, get a referral from a friend or a colleague or our parents or our, sisters and brothers or something like that. What are the kind of questions that I have to tell? I think what it is we know as creatives that we want to work with someone who is not going to talk down to us, that is not going to intimidate us, and who is going to understand that we are probably starting with a ground zero level knowledge. So what do you suggest? What is appropriate do you just call up and say, I know nothing and I'm interested in somebody literally holding my hand? Like, how do you know that the person that you're speaking to is going to be a person like yourself that's interested in that journey?
Well, I guess depending on, are you getting a referral? Are you just going on the web? Are you listening to a podcast? I mean, listening to a podcast, you get a little bit of an idea of how that person may operate, how they may communicate. Mm-hmm. Okay. If it's a referral from somebody they could give you their experience. Those are a few ways. Just going online and Googling, you get what you find. That's it.
Right.
And then you could be 6 months into it and realize that, he does have a pocket protector, but he doesn't know how to communicate.
Exactly. So now, like, you're located in New York, in Long Island. Is our accountants people that can cross state borders, or if you live in New York, you should be working with a New York accountant because of the laws for each state are different? So
I could do work anywhere in the country. The only thing I can't do anywhere in the country is sign off on audited financial statements, which, most of your listeners, that's probably not in their wheelhouse. We have clients from Oregon to South Florida.
Okay.
The internet's a wonderful thing. It's not the same old world it used to be 20 years ago. So you're able to do Skype. We do Zoom. We do WebEx. We communicate that way. We have our calls once a month with our clients. And, they might be in California, but, we're just looking at a computer.
Okay, so that's a key thing right there. So when someone signs on with your firm, your business model is that part of the service is that there is a once a month phone call about the status of their finances, of their business, of what's going on. Is that correct?
Correct. The first thing we do is an analysis, and if they're going to work with us, we do a tax plan. And then we get into the ongoing accounting and tax services, where every month we have a Zoom or a WebEx, and we go over the P&L and any questions and figure out what they're doing, what their plans are, and how to do things in the most, tax economical way. So
Go ahead.
People
Sorry.
people tend to look at their accountant as this guy he's costing me money. He's got to do this compliance work. It's costing me money, and I like to tell people look at it as an income item. If you find the right person, and there are many right people out there, and you communicate with him, he can actually save you a lot more money than he's costing you.
Okay. And is it part of the mix? I hear what you're saying. I'm now like 3 times I'm thinking one way, and 3 times I'm now hearing the answer that when you're responding, you're talking about the evaluation of how to approach the business from the standpoint of saving money on taxes. Is there a component that also, with a tax coach, with a service like yours, you're a CPA, you're a tax coach, is there a component that one time in that month, that conversation could be an evaluation of, are my expenses at a level that I can justify hiring an employee? Or that's a whole different type of coach. That's a different person.
That's all part of whatever you decide you're going to be discussing that week. And that's why if you talk to somebody on a regular basis, you get an idea for what's going on in their business. Okay. If you never talk to them, you don't know what's going on until they've done something, and maybe then it's too late.
Okay. So that is part of that counsel. Like, I feel like, you know what it is, Chris? Look, Craig, I'm now very much involved in coaching a lot of interior designers. And of course, I'm not tax coaching them, by the way. But there is a lot of conversation always in, how do I know when it's time to hire somebody? And I can help them evaluate from a workload standpoint, and from a responsibility load standpoint, and from what they're able to communicate and how to offload work in order to determine if it's time to hire. But then there's that component of, is the business financially healthy enough to hire? And your services, a tax coach, CPA like yourself, will have those kinds of questions with a business owner.
Yes, because basically, by having the information there and having your books up to date, there's data there that you could look at and figure out, okay, I have the money, or this is the money that's coming in. These are my expenses. This is what I need to change, or yes, I can afford that person.
Right. And
having numbers in front of you and looking at trends, you can make, informed decisions versus seat of the pants decisions.
I love it. I have to say, I think that is a well-needed service for so many small business owners, especially solos, because I've explained this on the show many episodes ago. But my husband, his degree is accounting, and he is the finance guy in our business. And so, here he is. He's fully formed. He's got it down. He knows what he's doing. But one of his very closest friends from high school is our CPA. Okay, and this CPA, I know for a fact, functions as a sounding board for my husband. So when he is in the middle of deciding, should we, like I'm pushing him, let's buy a building. And he's like, okay, sounds like a great idea. Let me go talk to Frank. You know what I mean? And so, because he can talk to me about it, but it's different than when he talks to somebody who, like you said, has got his nose in our financials. And so that relationship is there because they're friends. But you're saying it's possible to have that as a purchased relationship as part of your package.
Correct.
I love it. That's awesome. We need that. People need that.
It's called being proactive.
Right. And I have to say, I think that most people would not expect that to be part of the service, and might be concerned that they should ask for it and not realize that it could be. Craig, is it unique to your firm and people that have the outlook of you, or am I mistaken and most CPAs will be that person?
It's unique into basically us and people like us.
That's what I thought. It really isn't the normal. It is a breed of people, of professionals like yourself, that believe in the whole vision of the business. And of course, look, it's no different than interior designers. The more valuable you become to your client, the more likely they are only ever going to do their design projects with you. They get to the point where they're not even going to pick their paint without you. So it's smart for you to offer as much and be as rounded as you can, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so tell us about when you are working with a newer or any level business, it doesn't matter. What are some of the mistakes that you see that are typical that, somebody out there is probably making this mistake right now, and they're going to hear you and they're going to go, oh.
My latest book is basically the 10 biggest tax mistakes that cost business owners thousands, and I'm going to offer that for free to your listeners. But
nice.
Number one is failing to plan. We spend time, researching a vehicle, a car. What are we going to be doing? Our clients spend time researching colors and stuff like that, but we don't plan for taxes, which could be one of our biggest expenses. Choosing the wrong business entity, typically no thought goes into that.
And by that, just so we're clear, means being an LLC or being a subchapter S or, whatever, that's what the business entity means.
Correct.
Sole proprietor, whatever.
And then the new one is based on a new tax law, is something called qualified business income and Section 199, which is a 20% deduction that, we could all be entitled to, and how to properly plan that we get to take full advantage of that.
And that is for businesses is it for all or businesses that earn up to a certain revenue?
Well, it's for all businesses. If you're a certain type of business and your revenue, or actually your taxable income, is between $315,000 and you're married, and $415,000, it phases out. Interior designers are currently not in that group. The government was a little bit vague. We're still waiting for some guidance on that. But there are actually planning opportunities. If you are in that boat and you are one of the professionals that they list, because they call consultants. Okay. So what is a consultant? Okay.
Right.
If you're in that group, all the more reason to do planning to make sure that you could take advantage of that 20% deduction. So let's just say you're doing okay and you have a $300,000 K1. That could be a $60,000 deduction that you might miss.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant, right?
Yes, exactly.
How about more mundane things? I have talked with designers who tell me, I'll tell you, it's a great question. How about this? So how about a designer that is working out of their home? Is there a tax deduction, or is there something there that says that, you could attribute X amount of, dollars per month that is called rent? Like, I don't know the language to refer to it.
So rent is normally not a wonderful thing, because if you pay rent, you have to pick up rent on the other side, so you don't get a whole lot of value from that. Though at times it does work. But the home office deduction, which is, people, start to shiver when they hear that. They think, the big bad IRS is going to come get them. That's not the case. The IRS actually came out with a safe harbor a few years ago on that. But one of the things that the home office does is now it allows you to, all your travel from your home to the different places you're going to becomes deductible. And it also opens up the door for what we call the on-premises athletic facility, which is for the use of your employees and their families. So, which could be you if you're an employee, and your family. So that means the pool could be deductible, the home gym can be deductible.
Wow.
And those things add up.
Wait, time out. So what we're saying is that if you have an office in your home and you also happen to have a treadmill and some weights and a yoga mat in your basement, you can deduct both?
Yes, if you have a home office and you qualify for the home office, which means you need to use it 14 to 15 hours a week, then there's no one I know that doesn't use their home office for 14 to 15 hours a week.
How about a day?
Right. And that opens up the home office, the home athletic facility, the transportation, from your home to wherever it is that you're going to see clients, or if you even have another office, that becomes deductible.
Wow.
So, missing your family employment, do you have kids? Have you looked at hiring your kids? Depending on the type of entity you have, you might not even have to pay Social Security tax for them. All that stuff needs to be documented. Then we talk about medical benefits, medical expense reimbursement plan you can have if you're a certain type of entity, where you could write off dollar for dollar all your medical expenses, which is most people don't get to write off their medical expenses, thankfully, because they would be so high and it would not be a really good thing. But let's just say you have kids and they need braces, or maybe you're a little older and you're going for a little bit of cosmetic dentistry, which could be real expensive. You get to write that off.
And you get to write that off because what? It's a cost part. You're a way to say that it's part of doing business that you have to, or you're talking about because they're an employee of the company.
Because if you, depending on how you're set up, you could have a medical expense reimbursement plan.
Oh, I see.
Medical expense reimbursement plan. So probably would not want to do that if you have 20 employees.
Right.
But maybe if you're a sole proprietor or you have one or two people or it's a family business, that makes a lot more sense that way.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking back. I remember when my kids were in college that Frank, our CPA, would be like, and they're all working, now this one's working for the company this year, right? Yes, he is.
Right, and you need to document that.
Yes. And of course, you know what? We made them all come in and answer the phone. It's like, you have to do this for 4 hours every Friday. Sit here and answer the phone.
They have to be paid a reasonable wage, and tax court has actually ruled that you can hire them as young as 7. I like to wait till they're about 11, but the tax court is a case where they ruled 7 years old. So.
Now that's crazy. And I have to tell you, honest to God, I did start working for my parents when I was 8 years old, but it was, it's what you call a soda jerk. My parents had a luncheonette and I used to do the sodas, and we would be busy on Sundays and we could need 25 sodas in an hour, and I would just stand there with sodas. But, I'm not sure what else an 8-year-old is actually capable of doing.
Exactly. And with the new tax laws, you could actually, on a federal level, you could pay one of your kids up to $12,000 a year, and they will not have any federal tax.
Wow.
So
I just remember it having something to do with the whole college thingy. I don't remember what it was because I never need to know those things. The Vincennes handles that. But I remember Frank saying, put them to work X amount of hours a week, and there was something about the deduction or the college, almost like paying for college for an employee or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was probably just something else, but it's a good way to do it. All right. And if you look at it that way, the business is getting a deduction.
Right.
So if, maybe.
Yeah. And we're also going back 15, 20 years.
Right. Exactly. But I mean, when my kids went to, private high school, and they all worked and the money went into their bank account. So I got a deduction for it. And then the school tuition came out of their bank account.
Okay. So, yes, I think, you know what, that's probably the way it sort of went, something like that. Yeah. Well, the point of it is, we're down this whole rabbit hole of it, but the point of it is that is just exactly the types of information and things that you can miss if you only show up with, the garbage bag full of receipts in March for your April 15th deadline. If you don't have this ongoing, as you said at the top of the show, communication.
Oh, most definitely.
Right.
If you're looking in a rearview mirror, there's not a lot you can do.
Right. And so what happens? How does it work, Craig? Is it like a retainer basis, and the retainer basis includes X amount of filings, quarterly, sales tax, your monthly phone call? Is that how the model works for a firm like yours?
So our clients are all on a flat monthly fee, and I think I've sent out 3 additional bills in the last 7 years that were all agreed upon in advance. But it's a flat fee basic agreement. And what comes before that, though, is the tax plan. All right. And our tax plans, we do an analysis. We look at your prior year returns. We estimate how much we're going to save you this year. If you want to do it, we get paid up front. Our fee is 100% refundable. And in 7 years, we've never had anybody ask for a refund.
Wow,
it's typically instant gratification. So
that's awesome. I love it. And so
then
I'm sorry.
From there, if they want to work with us going forward, okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's their drinking buddy, so they, their accountant, they're going to work with it. They're going to take the plan and they're going to implement it with their accountant, which is fine.
Okay. Well, that's also similar to what designers do. Sometimes you go in and you do the consultation and you give them all the list of things that will make your home wonderful. And then the client goes and says, okay, thanks so much for the list. I paid you for the list and I'm going to go do it myself. And other times the client says, okay, I'd like you to keep doing it for me, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. And I would make an assumption too that it's probably similar in that depending on the complexity of an individual's company would be the determining factor for that flat fee rate.
Correct. And all of our clients have a bookkeeper, a CPA assigned to them, and then myself. So There's 3 people looking at that stuff.
Okay, so now that's interesting right there. You said bookkeeper. So many of the designers listening at the very least have a bookkeeper that, even if it's a part-time, 2 or 3 hours a week or two, whatever it is a month, is part of what you do. That bookkeeper could be replacing whoever they might be outsourcing, or we're not talking about bookkeeping for project management and stuff. That's not the bookkeeping we're talking about, or are we?
It depends, because we have interior designers where they actually have their own bookkeeper, and then we go through it after that to make sure it's correct and make our adjustments. So they're usually doing it on that project side, making sure they're associating the costs with the right project. But then we're doing the rest after that. We're doing the reconciliations and everything,
Yes.
like that.
Okay, and that makes sense to me. It's 2 separate tasks of bookkeeping. One is real live daily bookkeeping, managing the project and its expenses, and what you're describing is the second is the big look at it, and then the apportioning of it to the different categories within the business structure for the year-end reviews and the quarterly reviews and stuff.
Correct.
Awesome. I love it. I think it's great. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. So what I love is that too, you have experience with working with interior designers. So you're saying that you have one interior design client now, or you have more?
I think we have 2 or 3.
Very nice. Very nice. And so you have an understanding of the business and what we're going through out here, right?
Definitely have an understanding of the business and the different software that's out there in the business, So.
Okay, so that's a good point. So a lot of designers are using things like QuickBooks and FreshBooks and different things like that. So obviously, if they are using a program like that, then that's probably good. And you just maybe here's what I would want. I would want, if I were out here and I were doing my own numbers and I was using FreshBooks, for example, if I were coming to a firm like yours, I'd be like, okay, am I using this the right way? Is this the way the information is the best for you to, give me? We don't want the garbage in, garbage out, right? So I want to give it to you the best way so that you can give me the best information. Is that part of the thing too?
Correct. And there's design manager with the interior designers. They have their own little software that they use. So whatever it is that they're using, we've probably used it already.
You'll figure it out, and if you haven't, exactly. Okay, I love it. It's very exciting. So what is it? Is the deal we just have to not be afraid? We just have to say, are you a CPA that would, do all of these things? In other words, I think that's what it is. It's the permission to get the referral of a particular CPA and ask if these services are included. And if they're not, and and feel in your heart that you need it and it would be valuable to you, to just keep going until you find someone that has the philosophy of the whole business owner the way you do.
Right. It's all about really keeping more of what you make. And you want to find that person that's going to help you legally keep more of what you make.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love it. And so when we talk about communication and how often we should communicate, we know that we have that one-time meeting a month. But it's funny, I'll relay a story to you. I was at High Point Market this past spring, and I was hanging around with Sarah Lynn Brennan a lot. Hi, Sarah. And Sarah mentioned to me, she's only in business maybe 9 or 10 months at this point, and she mentioned to me that part of what she has with her accountant. Now, it was the topic of the discussion. The point wasn't to talk about her tax accountant or her accountant, but she said, well, for example, my accountant, he has included in my package with him, the monthly fee that she pays, unlimited text. And so she says, and, she doesn't have burning questions for an accountant every day. It's not like you have to worry about 9,000 communications. But she said, her exact words were, being brand new in business. For example, I could come home at the end of the day, there could be a piece of mail from me from the state regarding some sort of sales tax, and only being in business under a year, sometimes I look at that and have no idea what to do with that. But meanwhile, I might not have a meeting scheduled for another 3 or 4 weeks. And she said, and that makes me nervous to sit and think that I've got to wait 4 weeks to remember to ask about this. And she said, so what I do is I take a picture of it, I text it to him, and within 24 hours, he either texts back and says, just sign it and mail it back, or bring that to the meeting next month. You know what I mean? So
Right.
how do you feel about something like that? Like, how do you, when somebody's new and they have a lot of questions, is it okay to wait for the monthly meeting? Do you have services like that address that newer business owner that needs a little more hand-holding?
No. We treat all our clients pretty much the same. If they have a question, they'll call, they'll email, okay, and some of them will text, right? And somebody will respond to them.
That's it. Okay.
So it's,
yeah.
The whole idea is you shouldn't be worried about not being able. It's about communication. It's about communication. So, and we've never had the experience where somebody has bogged us down to the point where we needed to say something.
Right. Where it's like, okay,
So,
sweetie, we have to have a little talk here.
Well, but think about it. That interior designer, he's not making or she's not making money when she's talking to me.
Right.
So, we're going to figure out what needs to be done, what it is, okay, and they're going to go on and make their money, and we'll deal with the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know what, I hear it in you that it's in your business model and that it seems normal to you, but I don't think that most of us think that it's okay to just call the accountant or call the, whatever with a little question.
Well, it's not. Most models are not like this. Okay. I mean, right. I can remember, leaving a message for an attorney once and seeing on the bill for I think it was 12-minute minimum of listening to a voicemail.
Oh my God.
But
that's crazy, right? Think
exactly.
about it. Think
exactly.
about that. I mean, everybody's entitled to make a living, and if you sign the agreement that's the way it was, but that's insanity.
Exactly. So, I want people to feel free to communicate, and the more they communicate, the more we communicate, the more money we can save.
So tell us a little bit about your book, The 10 Biggest Tax Mistakes That Cost you thousands of dollars, right? I wrote listeners, but of course it's not listeners.
Yes.
Business owners.
Yes. So this I actually just updated it for the new tax law, and it's the 10 most expensive tax mistakes that cost business owners thousands. And I'm actually offering a paper copy for your listeners, and we'll give you the URL.
Oh, nice.
Which is CraigCodyandCompany.com / a well-designed business, and you can add that to your show notes. Okay. And they could just go in there, fill out the little box, and my assistant Adina will send it out to them.
Okay, so let's do this. It's Craig CRAIG at Craig Cody CRAIGCODY.com.
Nope.
Okay.
No, the website is CraigCodyandCompany.com.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify it's CODY.
Yes.
Right? CraigCodyandCompany.com. And the URL for the free book
is / a well-designed business.
Okay, awesome. I love it. That's very helpful. That's exciting. Are there things in there that you want to talk about that we want to tease them with that are some more things, or did we pretty much cover everything?
We covered most of them. We didn't talk about meals and entertainment, which is another thing that was cut back a little bit under the new tax bill. But I think for the most part, business owners, if they plan, they'll actually benefit a lot from the new tax bill.
Okay. And talking about meals and entertainment, there is a level that, I mean, you just said there's new laws regarding that. So in other words, it isn't as simple as I legitimately spent $5,000 this month on meals and entertainment. You just can't. Even if you legitimately can, you cannot submit that. Is that correct? There's a cap on it, or tell us a little.
There's no cap. Entertainment is no longer deductible.
Okay, that's what it. Okay.
But meals, as long as it's a bona fide business meal and you have it documented, which most people basically they're paying with a credit card, so they're documented there, and they have a phone and a calendar where they're keeping all their appointments there, and they're pretty much documenting it that way.
Okay. Right. Okay. So that's awesome. All righty. Well, I think this is great. I think that I'm so glad to know that there are professionals like you out there that are making it more accessible for the rest of us who are not, speaking this language as a second language. It's like a fifth language, and it just isn't our wheelhouse, and it gets a little wiggy and I have to say, in my experience, is that a lot of designers will push off having any expertise or association with somebody in this regard because they're afraid to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what to ask. And so then nothing gets done, right? And that's no good.
That's not good. That's not good.
Right. Awesome. And of course, you can work all over the U.S. I love it. Now, the show obviously goes all over the world, but this is for the U.S.
Yes, we have some foreign clients, but they're all U.S.-based businesses. So
I see. That makes sense. Okay. Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show, Craig. It's really been very helpful, and I have a feeling you might get a lot of people reaching out to you.
Well, that would be nice. Thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.